So, guys, welcome back to the question part and interview part of the 24-hour stream.
I'm completely invisible.
Yeah, you can come closer, yeah.
Lily's writing.
Like, you know, the Chainsmokers song. Maybe come closer.
Lily's writing. He's holding the frog of shame. Approved. Yeah. She's approving that. So, yeah. And Yag is saying, "Hi, guest."
Are you saying hi, guest?
Yag is saying he's a viewer.
Oh, hi.
We're actually...
we're going to interact with you, so...
Yeah,
like, it's pretty new to us, but we're adapting as we go, right?
No, it's new to us as well.
No. So it's Coldwild, not called well. And yeah, guys, guys should ask... They will probably ask some questions too, as they did with Armand's too, so
yeah. We don't know what is the right format for this, so...
It's alright.
We're discovering this together, like as we already spoke about. So Control F5.
What happens when? Oh, I know what will happen. You know, to everyone else, like, I'm not gonna spoil the secret.
Viņam ir jāpārslēdzās uz otru to logu. Control.
You can spoil it, they understand.
Pārslēdzies to bildu, kur...
Control. Tilde control. Like control. Ne, alt.
Alt?
But
yeah, okay, sorry.
We actually know all the answers. They've written them right beneath the questions. They don't tell you, but yeah, that's true. Like, I hope I'm not spoiling it.
Maybe you're telling the secret.
This is not even a live stream.
It's
we recorded like a few months ago.
Sorry.
No worries. It's
sorry,
like,
we recorded it in
mode.
spring, so...
So, Annie also is in the chat. I don't know. But yeah, people are actually saying hello to you guys, a lot of people, yeah, so...
Hey!
Hello, guys!
Yeah.
Say hi.
Hi.
Can you hear her? Or should you talk a bit louder?
No, I will not talk louder.
She won't talk louder,
just shy.
sorry.
Okay,
no worries.
Vladimir, you have to yell at
okay.
Yeah, okay.
He will yell at all the answers.
I'm gonna yell and she's gonna be silent,
Yeah,
so...
I'm just sitting and being beautiful.
Let's play detective.
That works, though.
It's
that
fair.
works.
It's fair.
I don't approve it because, like, we're equally great in games.
Okay, in that case, that brings us to...
You were equally beautiful, that was a good reply.
That brings us to the first question. Can you tell about the Coldwild team and a bit backstory?
Well, basically, at first, like, it's my t-shirt that got weird over the rain, but... Yeah, at first I just started to do game dev as a hobby, but then I met her and we started to like try to improve our skills overall, and yeah, we just find like I guess I figured out that I want to make games and I just dragged her all along. So, but right now like we're an equal part of the team, right? So yeah, pretty much we're a two-man team, like 2 men and women. Whatever, we're a 2-people team, and yeah, we just make games together for about 2.5 years. So, yes, I guess our main priority is like, go ahead. No.
No, we have also one like a off-team person who makes music for us sometimes, or just gives us music.
Yeah, I would say...
Yeah, I think it's fair that we notice, like, it's not super official, but like, we have one go-to guy, then we go for the soundtracks, like, he's like... he's my bromance.
I have to compliment the music in the game.
Yeah, I cannot imagine our music without his help. His name is Roman and he does the music for us all the time.
Man, Eddie said that he can't really hear Ellen.
It's okay.
She said
it's okay. It's like treated as the social situation in the world. Like in 19th century, like the female voice cannot be heard. Like
sorry,
it's
guys.
How scandalous!
We'll get banned.
We are definitely going to improve the setup in the future, and we'll have mics for you guys.
We have to take care of it, but yeah, we'll play their game.
Another suggestion: add another camera there.
Just cut our voice whenever we feel like that we're inappropriate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like we're here for the entertainment.
Yes, we're here for entertainment. Yeah.
Next question, please.
Mr. Thunder.
Well, it's actually Yag. The question Yag is asking a question. What's the girl's name? You never told us, Jans. I think we told it, but it's Yag is from Russia, so it's Elena.
Yes.
Or
if
as
you are
in
from
Latvia,
Russia, then it's Elena.
Wasn't Yag from Bulgaria?
No, it's Dean.
Elena.
Oh, Dean from Bulgaria.
In Latvian, if we would say.
He's Russian, okay.
But basically, when we talk in English, we call her Helen.
Yeah, or
Helen?
Helen in English.
Interesting choice.
So
Like it's the same thing.
she has a
I didn't
super
know that.
cool name that you have various. You can use various forms of it.
Oh, any questions from the chat?
Well, I don't know about questions. Kibosh Malarkey is saying that his social justice is tingling.
I'm sorry, like,
Yeah. So
and I'm not sorry. Like, if you're offended, I'm just sorry that I'm saying those things. So it's like the true thing for me.
That will be a double trigger.
yeah, can you tell a little bit about games that you have developed?
Can you tell
Yeah,
us?
tell.
Basically, my first game was the game I built the most. It was 2.5 years, I think, and it was a turn-based strategy game, and it was horrible. Like, but not like asset flip horrible. I guess I just didn't know. Should I be watching in the camera or should I be watching
How
it
you
here?
feel
Like,
more
no
comfortable?
worries.
like you both are
You can
magnificent bastards.
watch
but I'm
it
just
anyway.
like.
No.
So basically, yeah, the first game was pretty terrible. Even though I'm like, oh yeah, I'm putting so much effort into it. But I've kept patching it for. I think it had 5 major patches until I'm just not too ashamed of talking about it. Afterwards, yeah, like a shame frog, but I'm not going to put it on. Like, it's your prerogative, right? So basically, yeah, after that, we built a small shoot 'em up game. After
we
that,
had already we had got this Wild West Pigeon first.
yeah, like we built a lot of weird small games.
Not
they
a lot
are
of,
weird.
just one.
No, I built myself like a few
Oh,
games.
yes,
yeah,
yes.
so basically, I'm talking about our main games. Like, you
Okay,
consider
yes.
like if we consider sim games, right?
Yes.
So yeah, the second game was a shoot 'em up, and the third game was an idle clicker and strategy mix. The thing with idle clickers and strategies is that, like with idle clickers, you sometimes feel that you don't have enough control, and I wanted to fix that and address this issue, and it was pretty good. And now our fourth game is a shoot 'em up game again, but it's narrative driven. So we just wanted to tell a story. We wrote Helen wrote a 40-page script just to. Express the characters.
Actually, you want to mention that I was surprised that there is so much of the story. I thought, oh, okay, there's a character is going to end, but each time when you're going, there's a new things that the characters are saying. It's very cool.
And yeah, we will play this game that they're talking about right now. Imagine the stream, and that's the game that will do a giveaway thanks to Vladimir.
Yeah.
So, and that brings me to question. So, your games, they're quality games in my point of view.
Thank you.
But you're like developing them in quite short development cycles. So, why the choice?
Disclaimer: like, if anyone is looking for this for educational purposes, then we're pretty much nobodies. Like, it's okay. Like, but I'm going to tell you my philosophy when it comes to development. And the thing is, if you're a beginning indie game developer, like especially in the country where it doesn't have a lot of indie game development experience as a whole, I think the trickiest and the most stressful part of the indie game publishing is the release. So you need a lot of attempts to get the release right, the process itself, the marketing before it, and then the whole launch. So the more shots you take, the more chances you have to get better. It doesn't mean that you have to push the asset flips. Like, I'm absolutely against the asset flips, but I think from our financial perspective, it's much more viable to take small idea, implement it as best as we can, and afterwards just see if there's enough interest for it. Because, like, at one point you're aversing the risk. Is it aversing the risk the right word?
Risk aversion, yeah.
Risk aversion, the right word, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So at one point is the risk aversion. At the second point, we have plenty of examples in game development history where development time did not equal quality, and vice versa. Like, there were really small games that gathered much more attention than the games that were developed for a long time. So our basic philosophy right now: take simple idea, polish it as best as we can, and see if people are interested. For every release that we make, we have an extended support plan if the game is successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I just suggest to all of the developers who are just starting out, make smaller games, but have the plan what to do if the game just explodes.
I also have a comment on this.
Comment from
I think that it's better for the beginners because your skills are growing, and for example if you are making some 2 or 3 year games, then from the beginning you have art, some crappy art and some crappy store and maybe crappy prototypes, and that's all these things, but then your skill is like training and it gets better. And in the end you have a super style something and you need to redo the previous things. So maybe it's better than you do just some small things before you train your skill like in proper way. And when you're just like satisfied with yourself and your skills, then maybe you can go for a longer project. I think.
Yeah, so Lily said that you always miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And it's a remark on that you should try to build many games, and also that Corpus C was previously joking about that you made a click 'em up, but then there was a Kibosh asked a question: what challenges are there in being a small dev team in a country that doesn't see wide releases in the West? Is there a market, and how do you approach it?
Basically, I think it's a great question. In that regard. It's pros and cons, right? Because if we were developing games in UK or in US, our life expenses would be so much higher. So, but for us, if we make a game in like 4 months, it's enough for us in general to sell 3,000 copies to sustain us for another half a year. So, in that regard, we don't have access to networking to all those cool people in the West, but realistically, that can teach you a lot. But on the other hand, we have much lower expenses. So it's about balancing, I guess, and trying to play on your stronger sides rather than the weaker sides. We don't have access to Kickstarter too, so pretty much, in our case at least, the games were self-funded. And I kind of think it's okay, because it just forces you not to make a shitty game, like try to...
We just spoke about it in a previous interview, that many people who get that money, they do not really try hard to make a good game.
I'm really not sure about this, because I don't want to bash it, because I think if somebody believes in your games that much that he invests the money in it, like, it's great and you should do your best.
And also Lily was mentioning that I would imagine not having a lot of Latvian game developers means you'd have a lot of Latvian people would buy the game because Latvian developers.
I mean... we don't target the Latvian market for the reason because, like,
just a small country and a small amount of people.
Do you think you would be able to sell 3,000 copies in Latvia?
I don't doubt it. I doubt it because, for example, when I was a kid, like it were 90s, first we were not able to buy the games like officially. Like there was 1 or 2 stores, and it cost like 1/5 of my dad's salary to buy an original game, like, for example. So. The piracy was rampant, and I think even though it's going like down right now, and the parents are probably buying games for their kids, we have no idea how to target the parents here, I suppose. And it's much easier to talk to American or UK audience.
We also have a cliche games, so it's even...
Niche games, not a cliche game.
Well, maybe we have some cliche games too.
Yeah, we have cliche games too, guys. No worries about it.
Yeah, and that's why our target audience is also smaller than some popular games haven't, or popular genres.
Plus, it's actually very harder to sell in Latvia because of the piracy thing. Plus, Latvians and generally anybody who lives in Latvia, they're very skeptical, like passive. They hear, oh, you're making a game, oh, it costs money? No, thank you. Because I've seen interviews about bigger developers and they're saying, yeah, we have this target audience in the UK, Europe, and we have good sales. I've seen your sales, they're good. But I don't think a Latvian would look at your game and be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. He would be like, no.
I think we have still a problem for paying for arts, for music, for for films, for movies, for games. I think there is this problem, but it's getting better. I think
it is getting better because the new generation that decided to not leave but stay is earning a bit better now, and they are actually more interested in buying stuff.
Yes.
And if there is no stupid decisions like we had with our Boxer, that exclusively you need to buy a a full service just to see one match. If there are more like sales or more available pricings, I think more people will buy games because it's getting better.
But like, don't get me wrong. If anyone like, I don't want to put the blame on consumer. I just every time that somebody doesn't buy our games, I just think that we did something wrong. Like we didn't do enough. Like I treat it in this way. Basically, it can be market research, or it can be somebody just makes better games than you. People don't have to pay for your game just because they come from your country.
That's a good logic.
I want my games to be sold like because they're good, not because they're my countrymen. That's what I want to do.
It's interesting suggestion from Bitlow. What if all of you Latvian developers went together and made a subscription platform where people could pay a low amount monthly and get to play all of your games?
That's
it's a good business idea that would work in a different country, but not in Latvia.
Well, there are also other opinions of people, but there's a question again from Kibosh. Taking those strong ideas and building a game around it, how do you decide what ideas are strong enough to take a chance on?
Basically, I think like I'm not the best guy that you should ask it to, because we made a shoot 'em up game. Like guys don't make shoot 'em up games.
Why?
Because it's exciting, but it's the market. I don't feel the market is there because a lot of shoot 'em up games this summer also like failed in that regard. And for us, it's too early to decide whether we failed completely or just failed miserably. But it's okay.
I'm okay, Lily.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. The thing is, for if you want to do it, approach it as a business. It doesn't mean that you have to sell out. You, as a game designer, you have lots of ideas, right? Like you guys. So just make a list and then see what similar genres on Steam are selling better. Like, so if you have an idea about town building simulator, or I don't know, puzzle game that involves princesses, then obviously the choice should go for the first one if you like both ideas, because the market is just speaking. I think this is a sensible approach where you can keep your sanity and don't sell out entirely. What do you guys think about the development cycles? What's your perfect development cycle?
First, do people have any comments or?
Well, no, it's just I'm sorry I interrupted a little bit because something dropped there and people start to make jokes that I'm bleeding, I'm dying, I need a medic. Anyways,
I think your approach is very good. I think it makes sense, and it seems like you have a clear strategy for your team, which fits. And I think that's the most important task for a game developer, is to understand what is your situation, what you want to do, what you can do, and then go from there. Make decisions based on that, and choose your strategy.
Actually, Bitlow is asking a question. Do you develop your own tool chain or rely 100% on third-party tools?
I have my own tools for marketing, most of them. I have some tools for the build creation, but right now we're relying on Unity mostly. So guys, you didn't answer. What do you think is the best development cycle? Ideally, imagine you have infinite resources.
That's actually a question that I will ask later, but okay, let's talk about now. If you have infinite resources,
like imagine you can make any game that you want, take any project that you want. What would you take?
Well, probably create. I can't say a genre right now, but probably be highly immersive game. Probably something that a world where you can get lost in like completely.
Like an open world game.
Yeah, probably, and something that doesn't really exist.
How long would it take to develop? Yes.
Well, that's a great question, because I have no idea how long it would take, because it would be something.
I think it depends on a lot of variables. It's difficult. It's just Matthijs is avoiding answer a little bit, because it's very difficult to answer such a question, because it really depends on. Well, if you have infinite resources, probably then. Well, if you have infinite resources, then why make a game? Just dominate the world.
I can add a comment on the infinite resources part. That's the catch. You have infinite resources. You, as a human, you as a programmer or a designer, you're a resource. So you have infinite resources. Only thing you need is the idea itself. So if you want to make an immersive new experience and you have infinite resources, that means your dev cycle may be 1 hour. Because you just pop.
I don't mean like in that regard, because like 9 women cannot make a baby in 1 month, right?
Oh yeah. Those jokes. Somebody's gonna get it.
Are you going to be in trouble? I mean,
No.
guys, just
shut
it off.
That was an example that is very clear example.
That's an old manager joke. I love that joke, actually.
Yeah, the thing is, like, for me, I wouldn't take a project that is longer than 1 year right now. In this, like, even if they say you have a team, you have a budget, I just would not take a big project right now.
I think we just get bored by it.
Well,
not necessarily bored, but it just takes a toll, I guess.
I think maybe then to answer a bit more realistically that question is that, for example, you could ask question, why are we making this game so long, for such a long time? Well, there are things that we are learning on how to do it, and that's our first project, yeah, and we want to make it the best one, and we have specific goals with it. So yeah, it's going to take longer time, and we actually do think that with the future games to shorten our development cycle too, but we really want to finish what we have started, so that's that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just I'm asking more of a personal preference because, you know, we're not getting younger too. Like, the time goes on.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but we are lucky that we are in a game development, so we can build games for such a much longer time than in many other professions. For example, if there is a person is playing football, it's very short period when he gathers the money, and that's it. When you are a game developer, you probably can work like a Miyazaki, over 80 years old, and still produce amazing stuff.
Well, do people have any comments or questions?
So there have been quite a lot of comments, but mostly people are discussing things between themselves. I think they're okay. How do you balance creative desire with game development as a business? Sorry, there's another question. As a business.
Should I answer this one first?
Yeah, it's longer actually. I'm just going to expand the chat because it's all the time jumping up, so I can't read. Like you said, you are making a shoot 'em up, probably mostly out of a creative desire. But at what point do you weigh business over creativity, or vice versa?
Oh, when we get hungry and then we start like making clothes out of the potato bags, then at this point we just start, maybe we should be making money, right?
That's good.
Do you have comments on this?
Well, actually, half a year ago, we thought that shoot 'em up will be a good game because we thought that because he made research, this marketing research, yes, and it was promising. But but it's changing too rapidly.
Half a year ago, I made a research about another half a year before that, and decent shoot 'em up games were selling about 3,000 to 10,000 copies, which for bigger developers were a no-go zone because if you have a bigger studio, it's not enough for you. But the smaller developers often lacked quality that I felt. And they felt like the medium ones were successful. So I thought if we make a good shoot 'em up, it might pay off eventually. So on the other hand, I think my main mistake was trying to make a game that would sell only 10,000 copies. Like, I'm big, I guess, but always have some sort of market research to know. So there are no false expectations, I suppose. And know that market research from half a year ago is already irrelevant.
So I'm going to ask a question from Kibosh also, but I'm going to make a little comment of what we spoke previously. Lilybite is saying, speak for yourself. I started developing games at 41. I've got a foot in death's door already. So yeah,
That's
people are just starting doing development over 40 and working.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like it's bad if you start later. Like, to me, I think it's I think this industry is actually like between, if we take the community as a whole, like as this chat right now, we're very different in regards, but we're still quite friendly to each other. And I always felt that there's the friendliness. If you ask people, they always answer. So I think welcome to the game development and.
Well, I think we are different in some sense, but we are very similar in some other. For example, the dedication, because I have the highest respect to you guys. I just adore what you're doing. So I have a question from Kibosh. If it comes to a decision to fine-tune a theme or idea or fine-tune mechanics, which avenue is more important, and what compromise do you need to make?
I mean, what do you mean by fine-tuning the idea? Maybe you can elaborate on this.
Yeah, Kibosh, maybe you can elaborate on the statement.
Yeah, like we can answer this because to me, you might be fine-tuning the theme like graphically wise and all things, or you might be working on mechanics more, but it doesn't have to. I think the mechanics should support the game's theme, like they should intervene in some ways. So when you're working on mechanics, I think those should underline your game theme rather than be something like take the movies. People don't build a set and then start filming, like start writing the script. Usually you have to have an idea what the game, at least for us, it's important to have some sort of a plot or just an outline, very vague but still an outline, and then tune mechanics towards that plot. Like think what genre could be best. Like,
so David actually was asking, can we get reintroductions of everyone?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Reintroductions? Why? I've been here for what, 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours more. Okay, I'm Armand. I'm from Diginana. I was here at the beginning for the first interview. This is Matej from Rocknight. He was here from the beginning. That is Yanis. He's from Rocknight. He's there from the beginning. That is Little Thunder. He's there from the beginning too. He's our secret developing something. And you can introduce yourselves.
Yeah. You just forgot our names, didn't you?
No, I didn't forget. You're Vladimir and you're Helen.
No, I'm just messing with you. Basically, we're a Coldwild Games studio. We're a two-man team from Latvia.
Super awesome guys.
This is Helen. I'm Vladimir. I'm doing the development and marketing occasionally, and Helen is doing the design and story writing.
And so, then Bitlaus said he wants to know the last thing before he's leaving for now. Mm-hmm. He's asking, what is your favorite food?
What's your favorite food?
Well, I like kind of noodles and soups.
Soups and noodles.
Yeah.
Ramen,
yeah.
Ramen. Yeah. So ramen would be.
What do you like?
I'm crazy for burgers. You know, like
you're that that American star.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm on a quest of finding the best burger. That's funny. Thank you for watching the stream.
Yeah,
guys, they really did their best.
Bitlaw, thank you so much for joining, and hope you'll have a great rest of the day. Maybe
don't forget to make money in games.
It's crazy. Actually, Bitlaw made a diet where he was living from juice.
Oh wow!
He was just drinking juice.
Juice diets are not that bad, actually.
So we were
if you make raw juices, like blended juices.
So we're checking time to time if he's still alive.
Okay.
So, anyways, next time we will have to prepare some burgers.
That's actually a good snack. Like micro burgers, like you have those small ones, just like bite-size them.
Yeah.
Can we take the water?
Yeah, that's for you.
Are the glasses for us or where is it?
Yes.
Would you like some water?
So, any questions from the chat?
Kibosh was, I guess he was referencing it. So, like, putting more effort and time towards, like, art direction and music, or perhaps more bug testing to check for exploits, or making sure that the thing doesn't crash out.
The second one, because user experience to me is everything. Like, if you buy some games on Steam, like most of them that were did by the teams that are just starting out, you can see the idea and the passion, but you always see those small details missing, like the UIs, like the menus are terrible, or there are some bugs happening, and this is, for me, it's a huge turn-off, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So when the people play our games, I just try to make this experience smoother. Like, if you cannot do everything, then try to at least smoothen the first 15 minutes of the experience, because you know the such thing as anchoring effect. Yeah. as soon as people form their initial opinion, it's harder to change it. Like PUBG, for example. I play it for the first hour and I'm like, oh wow, this is super cool. But then you start noticing the bugs, but even though you start remembering in the back of your consciousness, but I had so much fun. Like, it's okay if the car crashes at me at 5 kilometers and kills me. Like, oh, it's fine, or it's fine that I fell down while parachuting without a reason. And yeah, I think if you make the first good impression, then people are going to forgive a lot of things. I don't recommend exploding it, but yes, realistically, the first minutes of your game should be the smoothest one. Yeah, and for me, it's a priority to make the experience as smooth as possible.
There was
What do you think about the question?
I'm just okay with your opinion.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, well, I also want to put more effort in arts, and I'm always trying to make Vladimir remake some these sets, art sets, or add some graphics. But he always telling me, "Oh, I just don't have enough time for it. Just
yeah, most of the time, like, the thing is, even for this game, Helen drew some of the much more beautiful assets. And I didn't put them in because I didn't feel like we have enough time to backtest and like to animate them. She will still put them in portfolio. So,
but I think it's very good how you used some assets. Like you made a consistency between the previous game, the Lazy Galaxy, and the Rebel Story, and I think it's very good if there are two people who are pushing their initiative. Okay, one is putting together the game, and so perhaps he has to decide what's have to be there or what's not. But still, if there is a person who wants to put the best art, it's like amazing. I think it's very, very good on your part. Like you can rely on each other. Well, there are quite a lot of comments, but Lily White read, "Micro burgers. What kind of blasphemy is that?" And the other one is like, well, that's for us a little bit, but there's a weird comment from Stream Elements that Rocknight Studios just donated to us $5.
So someone wrote that they are Rocknight Studios.
Yeah, so I guess like I don't know, basically whomever did it, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to add about the battle between art and programming. That's a constant battle in our company. We just started. We don't have our first commercial project yet, but that's the constant struggle. The artist constantly wants to do the best, perfect one, but when we have a deadline or a timeline or something, we can't just like do it because you deliver the asset so late. You try to implement everything does not work. You have to do with the crappier one, and then the artist is sad, and it's a constant struggle. You can't like please everybody because you need to have a decent project like that. It's good, smooth.
So actually, if there are any questions, let's skip because I really wanted to ask this to Helena. So it's very cool that you actually could make it today. So yeah, we wanted to compliment the art, and we were wondering. What's the inspiration for the art?
Well, there was no inspiration. I just before I'm making art, I'm always googling things making research for other games and their art or just films or just some images. And I am a person who is very far from all these spaceships and space things, and so that's why I really wanted to research things and to see how which at all can be done with all these shapes and planets and colors. And actually, I also wanted to resemble the original Lazy Galaxy, the first one. Yes, so we just. Took some assets from there, and I've redone it a bit in considering the color, and I wanted to make this game more colorful, more bright than previous one because I was not very happy with the art from the originals Lazy Galaxy. But well, I'm quite happy what I have done this time. Not in total way, but I think we're growing and we are getting better.
Well,
that's good.
And actually, I am not. Matej set it up. Matej Kibosh actually asked how can he donate? He doesn't see a quick link.
Yeah, you don't have a quick link in your stream, so
In the panels there is tips, no?
Yeah, there is tips that is explaining you can do it, but there is no button to donate actually. Usually streams have right besides the follow and the subscribe button, there is a donation quick button, so you can donate, so it shows up in the stream and magic happens.
So we have to set it up.
You need to set it up.
Yeah, we'll set it up.
So sorry for that, for the personal things, but I wanted just to mention that so that we don't miss it. And Kibosh also wrote that he was the same in PUBG, but the menu killed him. The inventory in that game is very dense and hard to get past.
Yeah, like it was a turn-off for me.
Yeah, and remember guys, the game that they're talking about now, not PUBG, but the game that they're developing, we'll be playing it after the interview.
And Kibosh is also, and actually Awkward Pause helped Kibosh out and posted the link. And Kibosh is asking also, what does a good day mean in game development?
What does a good day mean?
Yeah.
Have you watched the movie Training Day? Like, it wasn't a good day. Anyway. I guess, like, at the beginning of each day, we have the tasks set in us. We just write them on the whiteboard and just split them. And at least to me, a good day is when we complete the tasks and then I feel like, yeah, alright, everything is done. So, what about you? Do you have a good day?
I think the same. If you have from the morning, you like awake and you just know that there are things you should do today and do it properly, and by the end of the day you made them, then you're just feeling very good that you've made them.
Yeah, just get stuff done. What do you guys think?
I completely agree.
I agree, yeah. Stuff gets done, it's the best feeling. Then you can go to sleep with satisfaction and yeah.
I have an obsessive personality when it comes to these things, and if I have a task that I need to do, I can't go to sleep if I don't do it. So if I had a task to do today about something in the game, and when I finish it, I'm just like, yes.
So
sweet bliss.
Awkward Pulse is asking, do you guys use tools like Jira for planning and sprints?
We use Bitbucket issue tracker because it's two of us, so I can assign. It's easier. I use planning, like I use the old good paper planning. Whenever we start developing a game, I just write a milestone for every week, like what ideally I want to do, what should be done by that week, so we feel bad or if we feel good, and then we adjust towards it. But if you have a bigger team, Asana helped me manage those projects, or I used Jira when I was working in corporate development, and it also helped quite a lot. But I think there's a tool for every size team. For example, if you try to implement the practices, I don't know, that Subaru is using at their factories, like for 5,000 workers, like weekly reviews or something like that, it's not gonna fit your 3-man team. You just have to pick the right methodology, I think. Because all those tools are okay. Like every tool just have their own application. That's how I treat it. And if we get bigger, we use different tools.
And Kibosh was asking then almost the opposite question. What is a hard day and how do you overcome days that are difficult in development?
Do we have
hard days?
Yeah.
I just go like to lie in my bed for 2 hours. Then I just sleep. Then she wakes me up saying like that I need to wake up.
You're a living meme. But you're like, when I have so much to do, I just go take a nap. You're just like that meme.
But actually, what Vladimir said for me, it was like, oh wow, that's such a great idea.
Like the thing is, like if you're developing from home, like it's gonna change when we get the office. Then I'll just have to pretend that I'm working by clicking the cat images or watching YouTube. But I think if you have a bad day at home, or just you're working from home, you have a benefit. No, you have a benefit of planning your own time. You just have to do it responsibly. We still have the milestones. Like, take the day off.
I have a suggestion for the office, because I'm most definitely gonna have this too. Have a couch. Then you can have a nap.
I felt super. I did it when I was at one of the work. Like, I took half an hour naps occasionally, but I felt super weird because nobody was doing this, and I'm like, okay, no, I shouldn't do this. But guys, don't take nap at work.
Unless your work is at home.
Like, unless you work at home. I don't think you should be. Do you have something to tell?
When I have a hard day, I just hate everything. And that's just.
That's also normal.
Constant hate.
That's how sometimes
enrage empowers you, so you can work properly.
Sometimes, but actually, I don't know if it works because I'm drawing something, then it's just. It turns out very crappy and I don't like it. I'm trying to redraw it, and just in the end I just hate everything.
You should connect with the Little Thunder. He's a super cool artist. Maybe you should, if we would have common things to talk about. So, thank you.
I just wanted to add. Like, should we shut up?
No. You are the main.
Feel free to shut us up at every time because we love talking. Like, at least I love
talking. Then I'm going to insert quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
Kibosh, thank you so much for the follow.
Oh, wow, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the follow.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, you don't have to avoid the bad feelings, but you have to realize when bad feelings are happening to you. Like, if you need to be aware of the depression cycle, or just you feel bad because nothing is done, you don't do anything because you feel bad, and it becomes like a huge cycle. You need to be aware that this is happening to you, or just have a glance at your own feelings.
Yes.
Then you know when to persevere. I think at one point the discipline is going to kick in, because if I have a bad day and I just play games for 6 hours, like irrelevant games, then I just start feeling so much shame, and I know why it's building up. So as soon as I start feeling like this huge sense of
never be ashamed about gaming.
Yeah, actually, we spoke with Mates about this a few days ago when we went on a walk about that. There are two things you can approach it. Some people say motivation is nothing. You need to have a discipline.
Yeah.
But I think that discipline is also sometimes overrated, because when you have a motivation, you are super productive. Sometimes you have a discipline, but you're basically you're doing super little amount of work. And so I think that for me, what may work is that I am working by using motivation, but when I am starting to go into those things that you are saying, I'm just trying to always be conscious about when it starts, try finding something new, some new approach, how to do things, how to get me excited again about the things that I'm doing.
Yeah, like for me it's completely different. I'm just disciplined in that regard.
Oh no.
No, like, I mean, I finished the project.
That's what Kibosh said. So your own self-discipline is your driver? Like a question.
The thing is, like, you might not agree with me.
Maybe you were just perceiving a discipline term in different ways. Because our working process is very different. He prefers to sit 15 minutes in doing something, maybe 15 minutes looking at cats or something, and then maybe 2 hours to work, then 2 hours to game.
15 minutes of cats.
So basically, Helen is already answering this question, but Kibosh was asking specifically for Helen. Is inspiration more important than hard work, or the other way around?
Oh god, it's very difficult to tell, because I don't say that I have any inspiration for spaceships. I don't know. Well, I have had some inspirations for the space stuff, like stars and planets and some like this. But for a space, I'm just not a person who likes these machinery stuff and these technologies or something like that. So it was more like hard work and research.
Yeah, because that's actually, I want to say one thing. We have one game which is in pre-production, the next big game that we want to do, and we actually, with that game, we tried to find that it would be interesting for every developer, both artists and the developers, so that people would be inspired by making it.
I think it's very good when you are both inspired about the project. Yeah. In the event. Equally, yes. When you're both equally inspired and just like this project.
So, Matej.
Yeah, actually, how much time in a week do you work on your game?
I'm working about 25 hours. Not a day, but
that would be sick.
I mean, I'm working about, like, if it's not the week before the release, then I normally work maybe 24 to 32 hours, something like that. It depends on the tasks heavily, because if you're doing some machine tasks like that are not very creative, then the threshold is bigger actually, but you get tired from the creative tasks quite quickly. Like if you need to game design new enemies or something like that.
That's completely understandable.
It was the hardest part for me to imagine all these spaceships and to make them different, these shapes, and to invent them in a way. It's really hard if you are especially not in the theme, and you was not particularly interested in it before. Yes, creative work is a bit hard.
Kibos is asking, follow-up question. Is workshopping an idea that you are not personally interested in better than having creative freedom? It's actually quite a complex question.
Is working on the...
So basically, again, is workshopping...
What does mean workshop?
Well, that sounds like pretty relaxed schedule. I work 40 plus hours a day, but it's very different. Okay.
A day?
Yeah,
to say about the hours, we use Toggle to merit the hours where we actually work. So if I'm just starting to program, then I take 20-minute break to watch a YouTube video during the work. Like, I do not record this time, but I do not just do some random stuff like.
But
basically, it goes to.
If you are not working exactly with the computer, it does not mean that you are not thinking about your work.
Yeah.
And this is also work. You can be in the kitchen and preparing some meal, and you're also thinking and reflecting about.
And that's actually one thing also that we were speaking with Matej, is that, well, for example, I am saying I'm working 18 to 20 hours a day. Well, right now we're setting it up. Maybe it's not that much, but we were working, and then there's Matej is almost, but we're not working that much. But then I'm thinking, well, we are working, because when I'm doing some of those other things, I'm still thinking on how to solve the problems.
The thing is, I have this rest time whenever there's 9 o'clock in the evening. I just no matter if I'm working or not, I just shut it down and say, now I'm resting, like most of the time. Okay, sometimes it does happen, but whenever you think that you have those rest time, it's much different from your work mood. Even if you're watching your YouTube video on the work mood.
Well, Kibos, I want to make it I want to make a little bit explain. Maybe Kibos didn't understand it. I think it's 40 hours every week as a day job, plus this amount of work.
Oh.
Right?
No, we just do we only develop games. Sorry, I would say that we're super hardworking, but.
Oh, okay.
I guess what they're doing, they're actually counting those hours, so they know exactly how much time they spend, plus all the time when extra time that you're thinking there about the game and you're doing other stuff, you don't count it.
Yeah, basically, for example, if I wake up at 10 o'clock and then I sit by my computer at 11 o'clock, and then, for example, I just have my work mood until 9 o'clock, essentially spending 10 hours on the work. But I'm not writing code while watching the video, for example. I'm not recording those 20 minutes, but I'm in the work mood for 10 hours, for example. Let's say that.
Yeah, interesting. Lily Byte typed work. I feel violated.
Speaking of work, actually, yeah, I don't agree with clocking hours because I have this inside joke with my team that I'm working 24/7 because my mind never shuts down if we're active on some kind of project. Because when we have to do something, I'm constantly thinking about it. I can move it to my subconsciousness and like sit and watch YouTube and be like, that's a funny video. But still, I'm working and I have a day job, so those 40 hours plus working at the same time. Because sometimes inspiration hits and I'm just like.
So Varuks, I didn't understood really what you said there about that you're out, but good luck then if you are going out. I didn't know that you're here, but anyways, Kibosh said that sorry that he was not making himself clear, and Lily typed that
Varuks was here.
Yeah, I wake up, put myself in the mood for work, then spend 12 hours watching Twitch.
Do you work from home, Lily?
Quick pause to ask. Are you enjoying this format? Do you like it so far and what you're doing?
Yeah, guys. If you want us to shut up,
we can just sit here
just
and
sit quietly.
we'll just.
Sorry, like quick feedback session, and then we can.
Yeah. Or we can just stop here.
Any time that he's eating.
But a good idea, you can set up the interviews and then publish them so people can watch on YouTube the Goldman part on my part. So
Kibosh likes this format a lot.
And show to my parents that can't watch Twitch.
Yeah,
so
we'll do it probably.
that would be the best part.
What?
Kibosh said that this format is great, but he has one suggestion for the camera.
Yeah.
But let's see. It's Lily's typing. It's great. However, there could be a little. More uncomfortable eye contact with each other.
Oh my god, I want some uncomfortable.
You have to make a little bit more uncomfortable eye contact with each other.
I don't know, yeah, like the thing is, the camera is there, but those guys.
Yeah, it's like it's a joke. It's a joke.
That's why I suggest maybe adding another camera.
So you can awkwardly.
When we will have resources for more cameras, probably we'll have like 10
everywhere.
You don't have to have 10.
We're going to actually have a camera there so that people can see
the interview part, so you don't have to have an active camera for the back end of the stream at that point.
Are you actually using the green screen?
Yeah. Tiffits also is writing, you need more cameras and randomly switch among them, between them.
Switch
like
between
a pro
what?
studio.
Yeah, like a pros.
Or KGB.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
Switching
sure
what?
Switching like different angles.
That's why I said another camera there. So
come back in a year, guys. Like.
Next year you'll come, then we'll do another.
And Buckley is asking, I guess, for Rocknight Studios, what movie would be greatly improved if it was made into a musical?
Oh.
It's completely random question, but I guess
Lord of the Rings.
We need.
Oh my god, 3 hours plus a few dance numbers. That's a 5-hour movie, just one.
Okay, I guess Lily is suggesting that we should get GoPro style cameras, but I guess I think we should continue.
First view, Mate is like, okay, I'm gonna film you now.
Yeah, from my eyes. So, Lazy Galaxy is the game that the previous game you made. It's an idle clicker, and this new game it's called Lazy Galaxy Rebel Story, but it's a different genre game. So you're kind of expanding the universe there, but you're making a different kind of game. So, do you plan to keep expanding the universe, and maybe why did you choose to do this?
Basically, we just like. Okay, me personally, I find the universe compelling to expand, but we do not want to be known as this one company that makes this one series of the games. So, to us, ideally, we would like to make more Lazy Galaxy games later on, but it shouldn't come right after this one. So, we also want to spread out like our wings a little bit and to see what's out there. Am I correct? But I just find it interesting when the games have different universes.
Still waiting for a patch for one of your games.
we're not like getting the 3 idols like.
Oh my god, no! Why? It was the most fun idol game I played.
Helen wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, the main idea for the first game was that you are the alien race and you are trying to not just to destroy but to conquer this galaxy. And in this one, you are taking the other part, so you're like
you have all the perspective.
Yes, and it's kind of interesting. I think that you can play on one part and then on another, and to see which you prefer.
So, and does the story interlock between the?
A bit, but we don't have a lot of story happening in the first one. We have just some codex with some Oxel history. This is the alien race called themselves Oxel. But here we have a bit more of story and more of what's happening in this universe, so you can see more of the story.
Yeah, so actually there's a question. Are your games on Steam? And if they are, how do you combat for space in the digital marketplace?
Do you want to answer this one?
No, it's hard.
Yeah, our games on Steam, the Lazy Galaxy ones plus my 2 previous ones, our 2 previous, like our 1.5 previous ones. But you are correct that it's getting tougher, especially since the upcoming page change.
There was a change?
Yes, there was a change when their only popular upcoming games are shown. Basically, every market, not every market, but a lot of markets are split into 3 parts. At the beginning, Steam was quite small and it was interested to get you there. So if you were one of the chosen few developers, then congratulations, you got lucky, Steam got you there. And it also drove traffic towards your games. Then as the market becomes established, Steam stops driving the traffic except to like the high earning games, but your game still has the place there, and every game has their unique like showtime. I'm not going to call the exact numbers because they're under NDA, but if you published the game in 2016, you had a crazy chance at visibility. In that regard, if you make a good game at that time, you had a much higher chance to be noticed. Right now, Steam is their algorithms are getting so smart that they already know which games are popular, and so they feature those games mostly. Because think of it this way, whenever they show the game that does not sell, they lose money. When they show the games that are going to sell, they get more profit. So if they click on Game 1, if people visit Game 1's page 10,000 times but only buy 1 copy, compared to the Game 2 that was visited 1,000 times but bought 10 copies, Steam has lost a lot of money by showing the ads for Game 1. So right now they already know which games are going to sell in a much bigger amounts by their algorithms, by the popularity. So in this stage, it is your responsibility to actually drive traffic to your page before Steam decides that you are worth it.
Page earlier right now.
But you just need a very concentrated and focused traffic on your page and the wishlist editions because honestly we suck at this. So we don't actually do it this much. I market it, I send it to YouTubers and influencers, but it has limited effects. I'm always expanding and looking for the ways to do it.
So maybe we are going to put the links for the games up if you don't know it yet, but yeah, Kibosh wrote that he's going to scoop your games up. And then Kanseco was asking, could you say how much percentage of sales you get for Linux? Is it worth it?
It highly depends on the genres. The statistics is there. If you're writing your own custom engine, I don't think that Linux support by itself is worth it. But if you are using the already pre-made engines with this support, then I think Linux is a must because it doesn't take that much time. For us, it's about 2 to 4% from Linux, which is much higher than the average, I suppose. So yeah, for me, I support Linux in that regard, and I think if you're using Unity, there's no reason not to support Linux. Of course, you need to have a testing environment for it, which can take like two days. 2 days if you've never done it before.
Well, some games have definitely issues. If you are creating a bigger game, I can say from my experience that there can be problems that you have to solve for a while, both in how well Unity developers are supporting Linux, both in intricacies of how operating system is communicating with the game.
Yeah, no, the thing is you are correct about this one, because for Rebel Story we had to change Unity version for Linux only, because they've shipped a Unity version that had bad input from keyboard. Basically, if you press the button there, it just read it like as pressed 2 times or just pressed and unpressed. And it was like, oh wow, how do you guys like even let this change happen? If you had one game by yourself that was already published on Linux by Unity himself, they would notice those changes like right away. But yeah, the main problem with Unity is that they do not make their own games. Like Epic Engine does not have these issues.
Yeah. So then Kibosh, thank you so much for the donation.
Oh wow, thank you.
And
Thank you.
then again, what I want to say is that Kibosh has a question. How has Greenlight affected your visibility? I guess that Greenlight is already history.
I mean, if you passed the green light, it got you at least some of the wish lists and visibility. If I think at the end, when there were services that just gave you votes, it was meaningless in that regard. If you're honest about your business model, then I thought it was a good tool to, just see if your business model is viable. But at the end of the existence of Greenlight, I think it kind of outlived itself because people were exploiting it. So I think it made no sense that some asset flips that were able to buy the Greenlight votes got into Steam, and some maybe indie games that are not very popular but quite niche were not able to get in. So yeah, it's like a double-edged sword. There's always a curation versus no curation question, and I think this could take a lot of time to discuss, but with Greenlight, the Greenlight was the era of visibility when Steam was still granting you this visibility. But
so there are few things. Dexter King is saying, "Hey guys," so hey Dexter.
Hey.
Then I guess I'm going to put this remark. It's between Kanseco is saying it's between 1% and 15%, so not bad. I guess the Linux market share in games. So then Defiat was asking, or I should say this remark, that Kibosh wrote that he just got Lazy Galaxy bundle.
Ooh,
thank you. And, at least one sale. But we're not here for the sales. We just generally enjoy being here. But thank you for getting
it. But the games are very cool, so I think
you should definitely check it out.
It's like Mata is like the clicker game more, and I like the shoot 'em up more. So, but yeah, the shoot 'em up game I liked it a lot. There are some issues that we could discuss, of course, but in general, I like the game a lot. So. And David wrote that Vladimir share some discounting wisdom with us.
I honestly cannot say much. As I said, I'm still an amateur in this one, but discounting is a tool that needs to be used when you know what you're doing. If you publish one game on Steam, then just throw it to discount as much as you can. For Lazy Galaxy, we had a discounts planned for the major patches. So the best way to use the discount is basically push a major patch or a new language localization and then set it on discount. Because of the visibility again, Steam shows recently updated games when you just push an update. Plus, if it is discounted, the effect kind of multiplies. So either use discounts when you publish your new games or where you publish big patches. But for as the life cycle of your game expands, just use the discounts frivolously. Like use it whenever you can.
So
if you have something specific, feel free to ask. But
this kind of my next question kind of goes back to the beginning of the discussion, and maybe you partly already answered it, but I'll ask you again. Would you consider working on bigger projects that would take longer than 1 year, maybe 2-3 years?
And, can I insert one thing before that, because it relates to what we spoke previously? Kibosh wrote that, but I also I feel like I might have hesitated buying if Lazy Galaxy wasn't on discount. So I guess discount then helps to sway opinion to buy the game. But I also get a great deal on some hardware, so I have so he has extra money to burn.
Yeah, the thing is, you can also see the sales, how they behave on discount. For example, maybe the game is too expensive. Like maybe our games are too expensive. I don't think so, but yeah, maybe they are, and it's perfectly okay if you think this way. So, as with business, you have to use the analytical data. If nobody's buying your game normally, but then your sales suddenly surge during discount, like in a very anomalous way, and I mean it in a like huge way, then maybe it should be a signal that you should be lowering the price of your game.
So Conseco wrote that he doesn't have money now, but it's on. He put it on his wish list. So the game.
Thank you, Conseco.
So getting back to the question with larger scope, Helen, maybe you can answer this one, like if you want to.
Well, I actually think that someday we will probably, if we will get better and expand, then we will get better. We will work on the bigger projects and with a bigger people quantity. Maybe not 3 years. Maybe it's just too long for a project. I'm not sure about myself, because I think that I can be quickly bored with a project if I'm working too long on that. But I'm not sure, because maybe it also depends on the genre and the stuff, if I like this game and the theme of the game. So yeah, that's from my.
I wanted to add one thing. Speaking about boredom, when you're big, as you want it to be big, and working on larger projects, you will work on more than one project. That's why you will never be bored. That's how usually AAAs and medium-sized indies work, because they work on not just one game, but like 2-3 at the same time.
But it's very big already, not for 4 people.
Yeah, I'm just adding
Yes, I understand. Maybe if we will be 12 people, maybe it will be this way. But now.
But I mean, if you're a designer in AAA studio, then there's a huge chance that they just put it into one project. You're not going to switch project. You might switch project during the life cycles.
In AAAs, yes, there's a department teams. There are these 4 designers, and they got the shorter straw and they have to work 5 years for the next big thing. That's just another EA game. So,
what's the average Latvian lifespan? Do you know it?
No, we don't.
The thing is, let's say 65 years. Is it okay? 70 years.
Sure.
And you start working at 20. How many big projects like this will you complete in your lifetime? I do not think that I will never work on something like this long, but I think you have to absolutely trust in what you're doing, because your life is not that long. Realistically, it's maybe 10 projects that take 3 years, and it's bam, gone. To me, I think I need to be absolutely sold on the idea to work for so long. But I also think that about the boredom part, that it is like running a marathon. You're not going to just go onto the street and run 42-kilometer marathon right away, right?
True.
You're going to start with 5 kilometers, then you maybe move to 11, was it 11? 10? 10.5,
we're just preparing.
Yeah, so I just treat it as the preparation and
That's completely understandable.
What about you guys? Is 3-year dev cycle okay for all of you? Does it seem like a realistic thing if you have a good game on your hands?
Actually, I think it would be realistic. I think.
I feel like that's kind of
what we are aiming for.
Yeah, for us, it's what we want to do.
We want to just try it out. What people say that it doesn't work. We want to push it and build bigger games, and until we have an opportunity to do so, we want to try it out because we really want to become bigger. But anyways, there was I don't know for whom this question is. Diefia, this was saying, how good are your wishlist conversions, and is that even a useful real metric?
Well, I cannot disclose them under NDA, but our Lazy Galaxy wishlist and the games before that were average compared to Steam. For this one, we still do not know. I think the wishlist conversion is still a necessary metric when you think about the price of your game. And the same as discount, you should use it to see whether it's an adequate thing that's happening or not. I think the averages are about like between 8 or 15% over the, I don't know, was it over a month period? I'm not gonna guess about this one, but the idea is that, let's make awkward eye contact. But yeah, the idea is that you need to measure all those things. If you had, I've read an article some days ago when there was like a game had 1,000 now. Okay, like I'll switch to Mate's. Yeah. So the game had 1,400 wishlists, but it had under, I think, 200 sales total. So you can imagine that wishlist conversions were like even worse. And yeah, in this case, you have to ask why is this not happening? Because wishlists are there, so maybe you should drop the price.
Yeah, you're right about the price. Because I noticed many people have wish lists with a lot of games, not just indies, but AAAs. But most of the time they don't buy it because the price is too high for them. With AAAs, 60 euros, they'll wait when they cost 15 euros. And the most awkward and most strange part, indie game costs 15 euros and he's like, nah, when it's gonna cost 2 euros, then I'm gonna buy it. Like, this logic about losing the maximum, shaving off the maximum amount of the price, and then I'm gonna buy it.
But I mean, like, I have tons of games in my wish list. I'm not going to buy them right away.
Yeah.
It's just more like, I think the discount is I think we're getting back to the discounts, and I think it's the anchoring part. Like, what was it, behavioral economics? You probably know this part better. Like, if you see that something costs $200 and then it's like 19% discount, you automatically like want to get it just because, like, oh wow, I'm just saving so much money. Like, because
that's how it works. Yeah,
like, so there's a question for both of you guys. What is Lazy Galaxy in as few words as you can explain it?
Do you want to like explain it? Okay, our first game, Lazy Galaxy, is an idle game which basically plays itself with some strategy elements where you can take active control and participate into the game like you would participate in real-time strategy. Like, there's a management part and this part. Was it brief enough? I don't think it was brief enough.
I think it was okay.
I need to work on my elevator pitch.
And maybe the Rebel Story. And Rebel Story.
Rebel Story is about, first and foremost, it's a roguelite shmup that involves the team building and friendship, and the dilemma of following the mission that there is no point of completing. That's how I would describe it.
Actually, guys, I can mention that we spoke with a Japanese streamer and he played actually Vladimir's game, and I was a little bit disappointed that he actually didn't contact Vladimir himself so that he would check him out like during the stream as he was playing the game. But yeah, actually it's interesting how he found the game super difficult.
The thing is, I've checked the video that you sent me.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking the pickups. Like, and it's super hard.
We were actually making like tips for him what to do in the game.
Sorry guys, like, and it's and it's not his fault. I treat it as it's my fault as a UX designer. So we need to make it even more obvious that you think you need to pick up those things. On the other hand, there was a challenge that we want the pickup process to be conscious. So you're not just flying around and then just pulls into your plane.
Yeah.
So we just wanted like, I picked this weapon because I want to pick it, or I rescue this ally, even though there's no point of not rescuing it. But I wanted to make a conscious action, like he's okay. I made an effort to rescue this guy, so to me it was an important part. But I realized that it was my fault of not making the UX or tutorial part of it correctly. So that's an argument towards who.
Yeah, and then there was a follow-up question. And what are you working on now? And how easily can you explain what are you working on?
Or it's a secret. We're working on resting.
Yeah,
we've been resting. Go ahead.
No, I think that you have deserved it because they just released the Rebel story.
Yeah,
so.
we have just released it, and we are just he is.
I'm mostly talking to the press right now.
He's talking to the press and
I handle support and I talk to YouTubers and some press. That's what I'm doing essentially. But
I'm not doing anything.
So you're in that stage where you're gonna be living until you're wearing potato sacks again, and you have to decide to make another game.
We have some ideas, future ideas for our future projects, but I think that we will make them after some months because we have also other plans.
Yeah, it's other undisclosed development plans for now that we.
Yeah, that's completely understandable.
But they are related to the.
Yeah, they are related to Rebel
games,
Story.
So, yes.
So when you released your game first, it's not the end. It's not necessarily the end. It can be the end of marketing as you know it because you cannot build the hype anymore. Oh wow, it's already released. But in some other ways, you have to continue supporting it, whether it's bug fixing or adjusting the UI. Or
patches.
Or basically the patching stuff.
I also thought that maybe we will make one patch later, maybe with updated graphics. Maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe. We're a maybe team,
You can try rebound marketing tactics where you just run small campaigns that just out now, just get it, just buy it.
Yeah.
That's if you want to do it.
Fair, but yeah.
See, I told they're awesome. I told you guys. That was awesome.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
I think that one thing which is in common to our both teams with us and you is that we're not just thinking of getting money. We have an honor in what we are doing and what we are making. So I think that's So
for the small team, if you're a small team. Then I think branding is everything, and I don't want the brand sounded like a branding, I'm a corporate executive and we're sitting at EA table. But I think your reputation is everything. So if you just ship something not very good, or just overreact to people criticism, because some people will be angry no matter what, then you're kind of losing face. Funny story. Wow. We were driving the bicycles today, and we're standing on the crossing, and there's another bicycle that's crossing us, and there's a couple of tourists, and he just says something loud to them, something lousy, you're keep away from the bicyclist road or something like that, and he crosses the street by the red light afterwards. But they keep shouting him back, no, what are you, a smart ass, and I felt at this point it's a barking dog that chases over the bicycle that he's never going to get. Yeah. So I feel whenever someone is talking crap to you, and I do not mean by constructive criticism, you don't have to be to drop to the people's level who hate talk you because of they hate talk you, and you have to maintain the integrity and quality of your game, because a lot of people are generally that criticize your game or write negative reviews. They actually give you good advice or just try to help you to make it better because they've invested in you, attention in you, and money in you. So there's an expectation from you to maintain some sort of level. So your primary goal is to release the games that will just meet people's expectation in some way and to maintain this. So if we have 2 fans and both of them are waiting for our games, then I know that I have the responsibility to support my relationship with them. if that makes sense.
No.
You cannot, as an indie developer, you cannot like mass market to the audience like AAA companies can, but you have the benefit of like being personal with people, and this is a huge thing for a lot of people, and it's a huge thing for me when people just treat me with respect. Like we come here, it's cool. We can sit together, and yeah, it's nice. Yeah. So I just think like interpersonal relationship. If you're an indie developer, that's the thing, and this is also implies that you need to keep the high standards of your work. So yeah.
Yep. So
if there are no comments or questions, what if we wrap up the talking part and check out the game, Lazy Galaxy Rebels?
You have a cool clock.
What do you guys
Mi Band.
Yeah, like this one.
Yeah, but the older one I see.
Yeah, guys. So
It's the second.
Second
Yeah,
one.
it's
It
the
looks
second
like
one.
the third one. From
But
the
yeah, guys,
original.
so we're okay if you wrap up. Like, sorry for talking so
No,
much.
we are going. No, it was amazing. Thank you, guys. I would love to have more
I
discussions
like the
with
talking
you.
part.
And thanks to everyone who are watching us.
I
Like,
like,
stay
So we are going to check out a game made by.
okay,
These
so
awesome
now
people.
will be the transition period mode.
Where we just get up.
Yeah. So I guess you guys can go with Little Thunder outside. There you go.
why? Like,
Sure.
why?
Yeah.
The two of you have names.